We're going to look at an example of a responsive website created by a student for their Level 3 NCA. Now this is the normal desktop view, so you can see it's a fixed width, it's got a border around it, it's got a gallery there, it's got multiple, could we call it columns, and when I resize it, you'll see that as I reduce the size here, it gets to a certain point, at that point there, where it now goes 100% of the screen, you see, from a fixed width to 100%, and the border disappears, but everything else is kind of the same. And then when you get down further to the next little kick point, let's go back, you can see what happens. The menu disappears, it becomes one of these menus, and everything becomes linear. Also, all the images are 100% instead of whatever they were set to. If we look at the gallery, you'll see they'll be 100%. And that's obviously to accommodate a very small screen. Then another way to check the responsiveness is to go right click and inspect. So use the inspect option. This comes up. You can toggle between whatever device you want. So if you click on this thing in the corner, at the moment it is set to an iPad, so that's what the iPad will look like. You can toggle back to see the difference. Sometimes it changes its view, so whoopsie. Let's go to 100%. And then I could go to something like a Galaxy 5. Again, just make sure your view is 100%, and you can check how it's working. So you can use it as if you were working on a phone. So you can see on the home page you've got the slideshow, you've got the different elements in different columns there, and when we toggle to the iPhone 100% view, the slideshow's disappeared and everything is linear in the arrangement down here. Okay, so how do we do that? So to get an understanding of how this all works, we're going to look at our HTML to see what we've got to add, and look at our style sheet to see what we've got to add there. So all we have to do in the HTML is add this meta tag. It's the viewport, so name is equal to viewport, which basically means what is the user using to view your website. It's got the content is width is equal to device width. Now we'll use the width in our style sheet, and then the scaling, we're using a scale of 1.0. So make sure that meta tag is in your HTML file. Now in this example, the student designed the desktop version first. Actually would be far simpler if we did the mobile first, but we'll just go with this. Both will work. So you can see here we've got a set width. The margin auto is centering the set width on the page. There's a very thick border, that's the border over here, and there's a font family and the standard font size of 1M. Then later on in the code, and remember that's how style sheet works, whatever it sees last takes precedence over that which is seen before. We've got this media query which is looking for a maximum width of 960. So it's picking that up from that meta tag, and what it's done is it's changed the width and the border properties. So you can see above it's no longer 920, it's now going to be 100%, and the border has been removed, which you can see from the side here. And then later on in the code you get another media query which looks for a smaller width, and here I'm just showing the font size being changed. So again, the font size up here has changed from 1M to 0.8M. Now if we look at that media query for the smaller screen sign in more detail, first of all the font size you can see has changed from 1M to 0.8M. Then if we look at the top navigation, it's been changed to none. In other words, it's visible in the other versions but not visible in this one, so it's hidden. The icon, that's the little hamburger icon, you can see it doesn't appear on the tablet, but it does appear on this one because we've made it display as a block. Then if we look at the slideshow, you can see it's now disappeared from the home page because we've got display none. The gallery images now have a width of 100%, so that's to accommodate the smaller screens. And then we've removed the float and positioned the elements relative to their parent so that they're no longer side by side but appear below one another. And then further down in the code is what happens when you hover or check the various things. So if you hover over this icon, what is going to happen is the background color is going to change to that blue color. And then if the item is actually checked, you'll see what happens is the list items now appear again, the display is a block, and the position is relative, so you've got them displayed down below one another rather than alongside each other. And then the last thing we've got there is that if you hover over one of those items, like hovering over testimonials, it again changes color. And then the last item just removes the border from the left of this home item. Otherwise it appears here as an extra line.